Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a slightly belated episode 99 of SpaceWeek Live. That's right, next week will be our 100th Space Week. If you have any questions, as always, SpaceWeek is a live Q&A session, so if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Just make sure to tag my name, Rawspace, so that we're sure to see the messages. There is a lot to catch up on since I had to cancel Space Week last Sunday, due to a family obligation. You may notice a change behind me. Remember my live-streamed PC build of Nebula way back in March 2020? Well, since then, my new computer has been quietly, or not so quietly, working in the shadows, unseen by my viewers. But no more. I moved Nebula to the other side of the room, using some long video and USB cables, so you could see it nebulously processing in the background. In other PC news, I wiped my old Starman streaming PC and installed the Linux Mint operating system. Meanwhile, Starman has been streaming from Nebula. I have the Linux build mostly set up to resume streaming, but there are a few kinks to work out, like where the music will come from. I also have some great news. I'm officially eligible for a YouTube Silver Play button. I passed the 100,000 subscriber mark back in May, I think, almost 7 months ago, but I guess YouTube finally got caught up. No idea how long it will take to be delivered, but you can bet that it's going to go on the wall behind me. And that is all of y'all that is represented in that 100,000 subscribers. So, rewinding to 2 Mondays ago, if I can... Oop, where's my mouse? There it is. Rewinding to 2 Mondays ago, a Chinese Long March 4C launched the second Gaofen 3 civilian remote sensing satellite for the CHIOS program, or China High-Definition Earth Observation System. It features a multi-polarized C-band synthetic aperture radar at meter-level resolution and has a planned lifespan of 8 years. And per usual with the Chinese rockets, all of that debris you see falling off of the rocket are disposable insulation panels. They're like foam insulation. They're not ice. One moment. Let me see here. 2 days later, okay. Oh, yeah, of course. That was the right one. I've got my days all screwed up. Okay, here we go. Yep, 2 days later, a SpaceX Falcon 9 successfully launched NASA's Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, mission. Oh, hello, Bennu. Why are you visible? Oh, well. I have been going through all sorts of trouble with my live streaming setup because I've started streaming in 4K, which this stream is my first SpaceWeek in 4K. The thing is, everything in my streaming software is configured for 1080p. Always has been. So all the alignments of everything, which visual elements are visible, everything was set up for 1080p. And so I've been completely overhauling my streaming software configuration because, remember, my streaming setup has been sort of gradually evolving over the past 3 years. So I've been having to overhaul my streaming software configuration to accommodate both 4K and 1080p streams. And so we have some occasional mishaps, like the presence of Bennu at asteroid, which I will currently tell you about. So NASA's DART mission. This is an experiment to see how much they can affect an asteroid's trajectory by ramming it with a space probe at high speed. The ultimate goal is to assess our ability to deflect an asteroid that poses a threat to Earth. The destination is a binary asteroid system orbiting the Sun between 1.01 and 2.28 AU, or astronomical units, from the Earth. That's the average distance between the Earth and the Sun. These asteroids do not threaten the Earth. After all, this is just a test. The main asteroid is Didymos, which means twin in Greek. It has a diameter of about 800 meters. Its moonlet Dimorphos is just 170 meters across. I say just, but little Dimorphos is still 8.5 times bigger, with a mass 370 times greater than the meteor that exploded over Chelyabinsk, Russia in 2013. Dimorphos is DART's target. Prior to impact, an Italian CubeSat, which you can see in this picture, a little CubeSat to the lower right, will detach from DART to provide images and data throughout the mission. Then DART, weighing 1,210 pounds or 550 kilograms at impact, will plow into Dimorphos at 4 miles or 6.6 kilometers per second, and we'll see what happens next. Let's check out the launch.
T-minus 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Falcon 9 with the DART mission on the way for humanity's first ever planetary defense test mission. Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Sorry if there was some rather loud audio there. As part of my pre-stream, or as part of my challenges here, I have this USB hub that's providing all of my USB connections here at my where I'm sitting, which is fed back to my my PC on the back side of the room. But I'm finding that not all of the ports have an active interface to my computer. I was not aware of that, and that's a problem, because currently I'm not hearing any audio. So I'm kind of flying blind. So the video cut out for the booster landing, but as we can see here, it did land successfully. And here we see DART being deployed from the Falcon 9 second stage. And this bit is played at slightly increased speed just for pacing. So that's what DART looks like in the flesh, as it were. Back here on Earth, later that same Wednesday, Russia launched their Prishal module to the ISS. It's a spherical node that attaches to the new Nauka science module and provides multiple docking interfaces for Russian spacecraft. Check out the gorgeous Soyuz thrust pattern when it launches.
Параметры конструкции ракета-носителя в норме. Стабилизация изделия устойчивая.
And here we see it docking. Well, here we see it approaching anyway. It looks like an eyeball from this angle, but there's parts behind it that you're not seeing in this view. Here, let's advance to... Oh, there's the ISS. Here, let's advance to the docking view. And this, again, is played at 2 times speed, just for pacing. From that angle, before it got really close, it looked like it might be headed straight for that Soyuz module, but it was not. Successful docking. Good job. About 12 hours later, Russia launched another Soyuz, this one from far northern Plesetsk Cosmodrome, with the Cosmos 2552 military early warning satellite, also called Tundra 5 or EKS-5. It's a lot of names for a satellite. It was placed in an elongated Molniya orbit, which is tailored to the Russian high latitudes. There was, if you can believe it, a 4th launch that same day. A Chinese Kuaizhou 1A with the Xi'an 11 Earth observation satellite. Yeah, we don't need animations. Animations. All right. Then that Friday, a Long March 3B launched the Zhongxing 1D, or ChinaSat 1D, communication satellite. Last week there was supposed to be a spacewalk to replace an ISS antenna, but it was postponed due to a debris hazard from the recent ill-conceived Russian anti-satellite missile test. I'm not sure when that spacewalk is going to happen, but stay tuned. Moving ahead, last Thursday, Rocket Lab founder Peter Beck made an announcement regarding their upcoming Neutron rocket. Here's a quick summary, cleverly edited by Sci News, the popular space news channel.
It is an absolute beast. It stands 40 metres tall, it has a 7 metre diameter at the base and a 5 metre class fairing. And as you can see, we can lift 8 tonnes in a fully reusable mode, returning back to the launch site, or 15 tonnes is its maximum payload capacity to low Earth orbit. And the vehicle itself weighs 480 tonnes. But not any kind of carbon composite, a Rocket Lab carbon composite. So let me introduce you to Rocket Lab's newest engine, Archimedes. Archimedes is a 1 meganewton thrust engine. With over 320 seconds of ISP, its propellants are liquid oxygen and methane, and the cycle is also very simple. It's a gas generator cycle. 7 Archimedes engines propel the first stage. The answer is not throwing away the fairings, or even trying to catch them. The best way is to never get rid of them in the first place. Neutron does not land on a barge, it is a return to launch site vehicle. So what lands back on Earth is a complete first stage, fairings and all. And all we need to do is open those fairings back up, load in a second stage and a payload, close the fairings and go again. The upper stage for Neutron, at least at this point in time, it's a disposable upper stage.
There we go. I can use headphones to hear what's going on. All right. So, exciting stuff with Rocket Lab. Now, some of their digs at SpaceX were amusing. No need to catch fairings or land on barges. Best of luck to Rocket Lab, though, with the engineering. This stuff ain't easy. If it were, everyone would have reusable rockets. Now, later that day, SpaceX launched 48 more Starlink satellites equipped with frickin' laser beams, plus a couple of Black Sky Global Earth observation sats in what was my first 4K livestream. Currently, SpaceX is the only launch provider that has a 4K feed, so only SpaceX launches and SpaceWeek episodes will be in 4K as far as lives. Others will remain in 1080p. Here's the launch.
T-minus 15 seconds of counting. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
And wiggle, wiggle. Here is the landing. The landing feed was pretty wonky, but at least the seagull got out of the way.
Just a few seconds here, we're going to see if we can land this first stage booster for the 9th time.
Stage 1, landing leg deploy.
And they didn't have ground station coverage during the deployment, but here we see the Starlink sats drifting away from the Falcon upper stage. They're kind of, the sunlight's glinting off of them there. You see them beyond the Earth's horizon. Oop, and that is all we got to see, like about 5 seconds of the Starlinks floating away. there was a Virgin Orbit launch tentatively scheduled for last Thursday, but either the schedule was misreported or the launch was delayed. I'm not sure which. Their Launcher 1 rocket is supposed to fly sometime this month, though. In other Virgin Orbit news, it was announced that back in August, and flew under my radar, that Virgin Orbit plans to go public soon on the NASDAQ exchange with the ticker symbol VORB, or VORB. Now, this is a space channel, not a finance channel, and I abhor crypto and finance spam, but I just wanted to let you know that if you're interested in investing in Virgin Orbit, their IPO is expected later this month, once their merger with the Special Purpose Acquisition Company, or SPAC, Next Gen Acquisition Corp. 2, is complete. That is an inspiring name if ever I heard one. Now, yesterday there was a total solar eclipse. I totally missed live streaming that one. Sorry about that. I had the new moon on my calendar, but I failed to mention that it was also an eclipse. This was a unique one, as it was only visible in Antarctica, on land anyway. NASA provided a live stream from Union Glacier at the base of the Antarctic Peninsula. Now this video is sped up for pacing, but here we see the final moments into totality. I myself have only witnessed one total solar eclipse in person, and that was 4 years ago in 2017. The Great North American Eclipse that went all the way across the country. Now here we have Bailey's beads showing up, and a little bit of a diamond ring. You can see some prominences there, red prominences, and of course the corona. It was a singularly unique and amazing experience, and I'm looking forward to my next opportunity to see a total solar eclipse in 2024. It's not going to be close to home. It's going to be, I'm going to have to travel west, but hopefully by that time I will have mobile Starlink. Now I have Starlink internet, but it's Starlink satellite internet from SpaceX, but it is not mobile. I can't take it with me because it won't. It's not designed. It's only designed to work in a limited geographic region, and I think that may be for load balancing, or I don't think they've ever explicitly stated the reason. But yeah. In any case, there are plans to provide mobile Starlink that you can put on a motorhome or a boat or a ship, a truck, and use the system on the go. Here is a brilliant photo of some Umbraphile photographers at work. I remember hoping when I first learned of this Antarctic eclipse a couple of years ago that there would be pictures like this. And here's a stunning one from the air. I love how you can see the actual moon's shadow in the atmosphere to the left and right of the eclipse. That's a view that not many people get to see. Eclipse from the air. Finally, last night, an Arianespace Soyuz lifted off from the Guiana Space Center, delivering a pair of Galileo navigation satellites to medium Earth orbit some 23,000 kilometers or 14,000 miles up, where they will orbit the Earth about every 14 hours. Galileo is a European global navigation satellite system, equivalent to America's GPS.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Et décollage VS26, Galileo Fox M9. Les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
And the live stream actually was more than 3 hours long because they you can see it spinning there. They followed it all the way out to its final orbital altitude, and it took about 3 hours for it to get there. All right, so if I can get back to my script. Now, looking ahead to this week, on Monday, December 6th at 4:04 a.m. Eastern, 09:04 UTC, a ULA Atlas V might launch the STP-3 mission into a geosynchronous orbit. It was scheduled for today, but they detected a fuel leak in the RP-1 ground supply. Ground equipment issues frequently result in recurring delays, though, so stay tuned, because it may be delayed again. On board will be STP-SAT-6 with a bunch of experiments. The Space and Atmospheric Burst Reporting System 3, or SABRS-3, and the Space and Endo-Atmospheric NUDET surveillance equipment and risk reduction sensor, both by the National Nuclear Security Administration, which will provide nuclear detonation detection and space environment data. I guess nukes are still a threat, even though we don't see too many of them being detonated anymore. The Laser Communications Relay demonstration by NASA, which will provide high data rate optical communication services. The Compact Environmental Anomaly Sensor Experiment 3 and Rad-Hard Electronics Memory Experiment, both by the Air Force Research Laboratory. The Falcon Solid-State Energetic Electron Detector, or Falcon SEED, from the U.S. Air Force Academy. Go Zoomies. The Strontium Iodide Radiation Instrumentation, or SIRI, by Apple? No, by the Naval Research Lab. The Ultraviolet Spectrochronograph Pathfinder by NASA and the Naval Research Lab, which will use a new UV chronograph design concept to make the first remote sensing measurement of a suprathermal particle distribution in the corona capable of seeding SEP acceleration. Okay. And one unidentified experiment, which is super secret. Later on Monday at 7:40 p.m. Eastern, 040 UTC on Tuesday, a Rocket Lab Electron will launch the Black Sky 12 and 13 Earth observation sats in a mission dubbed A Data with Destiny. On Wednesday, December 8th, at the wee hour of 2:38 a.m. Eastern, 0738 UTC, is a special Soyuz launch from Baikonur Cosmodrome, which will not be delivering any expedition crew members to the ISS. Instead, cosmonaut Alexander Masurkin will be ferrying space tourists Yusaku Maezawa and Yozo Hirano to the space station for a 12-day visit. You may recognize Maezawa's name as the Dear Moon guy, who gave SpaceX a bunch of development money for Starship, and still has plans to orbit the moon in Starship with a bunch of artists. Not to be confused with Blue Moon, which was Blue Origin's rejected moon lander proposal, much to their chagrin. The flight will only take 6 hours, with docking coverage starting at 8 a.m. Eastern, 1300 UTC. Then Thursday, December 9th at 1 a.m. Eastern, 0600 UTC, a Falcon 9 will launch the Imaging X-ray Polarimetry Explorer. I would love to have some more info for you on this, but it will have to wait till next week after the successful launch because I ran out of time and I had to start this stream. So Then what's missing from the schedule is later Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 1500 UTC, a Blue Origin New Shepard will launch 2 honorary guests and 4 paying customers into suborbital space. On board will be Laura Shepard Churchley, Michael Strahan, the football player and TV host, Dylan Taylor, Evan Dick, and Cameron Bess, and one other person whose name I forgot to note. But again, we'll have more details later on. Then next Sunday, December 12th at 7:20 a.m. Eastern, 12:20 UTC, a Russian Proton rocket will launch Express AMU-3 and AMU-7 ComSats. That is it for the coming week. I'd like to take a moment to thank and welcome our new members, Lidia Coronel and Beatriz Anzures Trejo, if I got that right. Let's see. So last week I did an unboxing, not last week, but 2 weeks ago, the last Space Week. I did an unboxing showing some goodies that I had gotten from the SpaceX shop, including this color-changing mug, which was a little more color-changing than I was expecting. So first of all, let's start with the intended color-changingness of it. This is only like a 1-minute video, so here, check this out, if you haven't seen it already on my channel. So the red disappears and is replaced, actually, the red disappears, unveiling a beautiful green and blue and white terraformed Mars. Now that was pretty speedy, that transformation. But what really struck me was when I, afterwards, and I don't have video of this, but afterwards, when I went to wash the mug in the sink, because I didn't drink coffee out of it. I put my coffee in a vacuum insulated tumbler that would keep it warm longer. I poured cold water over the Mars and it instantly turned red again. But then it turned red, and as soon as the temperature, like the ambient temperature, the internal temperature of the mug radiated back out to the surface, it turned, like a half a second later, it turned green again, until I cooled it off with enough water, and then it was all red. But the color change is almost instantaneous. It's very cool. But the unintentional color change was, and I am not going to play, actually, I can play audio, because, so if you have a Google assistant that responds to voice, you may want to wear headphones. So I can play audio because I have this in my headphones. Otherwise, I would wreak havoc on my own Google system. But check this out. So when I change, because of the way light works, if you change the light, the ambient light, to green, then red objects appear black. And I was not anticipating this until I turned the lights green, and I was like, what in the world? Because I was looking right at my mug. And check this out. Hey Google, set RGB to green.
Okay, changing 2 lights to green.
Hey Google, set RGB to white.
Alright, changing 2 lights to white.
pretty cool. Yeah, so that's one I wasn't anticipating. Also, when I set my ambient lighting to purple, my yellow, my very yellow screwdriver here becomes bright orange. Like, it looks completely different. Anyway, amusing science experiments. So, questions. Let me get to your questions, if I can find where they're located. All right. We have a few. All right. So, Tekmi Piccha asks, Bennu get a new cockpit for 2022? Nope, the cockpit's the same, although I could fish around for a new cockpit, but I put some amount of effort into customizing the spaceship cockpit with Bennu and pictures of my channel and other things. So I'm pretty busy. I don't know if I'd have the opportunity to customize a new one. Jimbo Thunderhawk says, congrats, Raw Space, on the silver play button, I presume, the 100K play button. Thank you very much, sir. Iwo Wazanuski asks, will the Soyuz MS-20 use the 2-day per hour or 3-hour rendezvous? It will take 6 hours from launch to docking. Jupiter probe or Trojan asteroid. Russian name, where is Lucy now? I don't actually have information on that. I could look it up, but you can just Google it and ask where Lucy is, and I'm sure that the NASA Lucy website probably will tell you where it is currently. Or if you're if you're brave enough, you can look it up in the JPL Horizons system. It provides ephemeris and other such data on both natural and man-made objects throughout the solar system. Just look up JPL Horizons. Javi, don't you think they need a better big dart? Well, this is just a test. So, plus launching massive objects, that is to say objects with a lot of mass, into the solar system takes a lot of delta V. So, but this is the mission they have, and in the future I'm sure they'll probably do a bigger one. Plus, they don't want to make dramatic changes to. Oh, I should have mentioned, and I apologize, I did not mention during my piece on the DART mission that the overall orbit of the binary system of Didymos and Dimorphos will not be changing by a measurable, appreciable amount. What they're hoping to change is the orbit of Dimorphos around Didymos. So the little moon is orbiting around the larger asteroid, and they hope to measure the change in Dimorphos's orbit. But the overall orbit of the system is not changing, which it was really an ideal target for this mission, because they can affect a change in the orbit of an asteroid without actually changing the orbit of that asteroid around the sun. Okay, so MVM Motovlog Music asks, which launch streams are your favorites? NASA, SpaceX, Russia, ESA, India, China, or Japan? I'd have to say SpaceX, and I know that sounds typical, but that's because the coverage is excellent. It's commentated by actual engineers and project managers who know their stuff. They provide 4K resolution, which nobody else in the world does for their launch streams. Except for independent, independent sources such as, NASA Space Flight, and which is not affiliated with NASA, and Everyday Astronaut, and me if I ever get out there with my cameras. First, I need to get the cameras, and then I need to get the time off, but and the data uplinks. But in any case, yeah, SpaceX are my favorite. Although having the name of raw space, I do tend to prefer, whenever possible, raw footage. I don't like a lot of commentary, but if commentary is to be there, I like it to be well informed. What I could do without is the Space Bro crowd cheering in the background of SpaceX launches. I find it distracting and unnecessary. I mean, it's fun to get caught up in the moment, but it gets a little bit old when all you want to do is hear the rocket. Now, what I'd really love to have is high quality, high fidelity audio of the launch without people talking over the top of it. But yeah, we get what we get. Peter S. Are there just 3 Soyuz launch sites? There are 4. Let's see. There is Baikonur, of course, the granddaddy of all launch sites, and Plesetsk, which is far to the north. That's the northernmost spaceport in the world. And then you've got Vostochny, far to the east, which is like 5 time zones east of Moscow. And then you have the Guiana Space Center, because, of course, the ESA, or Arianespace, launches their Soyuzes from there. So there's actually 4 Soyuz launch sites in the world. There may be other launch sites which have been used, which are not currently active, but those are the 4 active launch sites currently in the world for Soyuz. MVM Motovlog Music says that I forgot to include Rocket Lab's streams. You know, I looked, and was there one that I forgot? Or was there one that I didn't stream? Because I didn't even see any Rocket Lab's streams in the past 2 weeks. There was one just prior to that, but I would have covered that in the last Space Week. So if I forgot something from Rocket Labs, I apologize. But I have done my best to provide as exhaustive a picture of the launch scene as I can for you. Russian name again. Wait, let me see if I can translate this. Oh, Eugene Myasnikov. Eugene Myasnikov says, who can use Starlink internet? So while the Starlink satellites orbit over all of our heads, only certain people are able to use it, because in order to use the service in any given country, that country has to have an agreement with SpaceX for the use of the service. And not all countries do. Like, for example, in China, there will be no Starlink. I mean, if you use Starlink in China, then you are very likely setting yourself up to go to jail. Or something. But, primarily it's currently available in Canada and the United States. I myself am a user of Starlink. I have it as a backup internet service. And while that is fiscally inefficient, because I have a pretty reliable Google Fiber connection, I also have a vested interest, not a vested interest, but I have a personal interest in evaluating Starlink as an enthusiast of space and a fan of SpaceX. And so I can kind of report back on its performance to you. So I have it as a backup internet connection, and I also use it on my phone. I use the Starlink connection, except when I need to connect to one of my local computers, in which case, I switch over to my Google Fiber. But in any case, Tigrayhoff, isn't there one coming next year? This is regarding an eclipse. So I am not sure when the next total solar eclipse is. There are two total solar eclipse opportunities each year. There is not always a total solar eclipse. Like I think this year only had one. if I read that correctly. But yeah, there probably is one next year. But if there is, then it's nowhere near where I'm going to be. You know, I mean, umbraphiles, which are people who travel to view solar eclipses, they have to. I mean, they often have to travel across continents all over the world in order to see them, because the total eclipse is only visible from a very narrow strip along the ground. You know, so for example, this yesterday's total solar eclipse was only viewable in totality from the Antarctic Peninsula in Antarctica, or a boat in the far southern ocean, which is a pretty treacherous place to be. Let's see. Javi, flying space rovers, can I design one for SpaceX? I imagine the photo in my mind. Sure, I mean, space rovers, you know, basically autonomous robotic mini spacecraft that can do things is a great idea, but the thing is, in order to move around in space, you need fuel. And so, just like you can't just charge up and scoot around in space. I mean, you can use flywheels and things like that are electrically powered, like the Hubble Space Telescope or Kepler, but reaction control wheels, I think is what they call them. But yeah, so but yeah, go ahead, design your space rovers, and let's use them to construct some megastructure that we don't want to send people up there to work on, because it's too dangerous. Gems Gray, do you think Rocket Lab's next rocket would be called Proton? A little tongue-in-cheek there, because we've got Electron, we've got Neutron, and they can't call it Proton. I mean, they could, but it would be redundant, because there's already a Proton rocket from Russia. So, I mean, they could call it Quark. Yeah, I mean, but that would be like a tiny rocket. That would be like an Estes model rocket. Javi, can we see you sometimes build a rocket, or like Mars rovers? I don't build rockets. I talk about them. I watch them launch through my computer. Never actually seen one launch in person, although that is on my bucket list. But if you mean like Legos, so over here on my wall to my left, hey, look at that! I actually pointed right at it. Is a Saturn V. I could be a weatherman. Is the Lego Saturn V that I made, which is a really cool build, but it's also very common. Like, everybody has that one. What I started piecing together, or what I started gathering the pieces for, but I never finished gathering the pieces for, was a Lego Falcon Heavy, according to the design from Cloud Liquor or SpaceX Centric. I got the build information from him, and I just haven't got around to actually making it. But once I do gather those pieces together, which I should go ahead and just order them, because it was never approved for an official set, so you have to find the pieces on your own. And there are websites that let you do that fairly easily, but it's expensive. Like, whereas you might pay, $100 for a Saturn V from Lego, if you're piecing together if you're buying the pieces a la carte, it'll probably cost you $200 or $300 for the same set. All right, Dan Todd, wasn't Baikonur also called Turatam? Don't know where I heard that, actually. A 70s Russian emigre book, maybe. I haven't heard that name. So far as I'm aware, Baikonur Cosmodrome was always Baikonur Cosmodrome, but there could be some history there that I'm not aware of. Be an interesting thing to look up sometime. Thanks for the heads up. Turatam. All right. And incidentally, regarding the Legos, I would like to build more 1 to 110 scale Lego rockets to match the Saturn V. I prefer that they all be the same scale, but they don't necessarily have to be. But I'd like for them to be the same scale. But then I'd have to figure out what I'm going to do with, like, I don't want to. I already put that shelf there for the Saturn V, so I probably wouldn't want to relocate that. But in any case, we'll see in the future. May I help you? My child is trolling me from around the corner. All right, so it looks like that is going to wrap it up for this week. Thank you all so much for coming. And as always, I appreciate your click. Go ahead and click the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, if you enjoyed this. And if you hated it, then why are you still here? In any case, I hope to see you all in the next live stream. Until then, keep it raw, and bye-bye for now.